Hello, KOU. I'm here making this again. Alright, this video, someone asked basically what is sniping, what qualifies as sniping, when is my great building snipeable, and other people have asked about the great building calculator, and I just wanted to make this video. I'll go through it really fast this time because this is the probably third time I try to make this, and maybe we can knock this out really fast. So pretty much, sniping is when someone drops a load of FP onto one of your great buildings in order to secure a position, and they technically are hoping to get a reward from that, whether that be blueprints, medals, and the big one is FP. Um, what I see sniping as is someone coming in looking to lock a spot and gain FP, not lose FP, right? Because you can snipe a building and you could lose FP, but to me, that's not really sniping. If someone was to come in and lose FP on one of my great buildings but locking a spot, most likely I'm gaining FP, and hey, I'm all for that if people want to throw FP at me, right? So what I used as a quick example or an example before of what sniping is not, or more so, when can my great building not be sniped? And usually, great buildings with no forge points on them, usually from like levels 1 to 30, usually aren't snipeable right from the get go. So we can look at my lighthouse here, and we can see that it takes 623 FP um, to fully level this great building. Let's bring that back up. In order for a player to lock first place or snipe first place on this great building, they would have to take half of the required amount right now, which is 623. So we're going to do 623 and divide that by 2 and get a half number, right? And it's going to give us 312. We always round up here, no matter what we're doing. So someone's going to have to come in, put 312 forge points on my lighthouse to lock first place. If they do that, this is technically sniping. But here is where I'm going to show you whether that's good or bad for you. So if someone was to come in and put 312 FP on my lighthouse, which is half the forge points, to lock first place and snipe it, I'm air quoting here, um, they're going to get 90% plus times the base reward. The base reward here is 95 FP, as you can see, for first place. So in order to calculate um, our 90% reward, we always take the base award amount. So on this one, you can see it's 95 forge points for first place. We take the base amount and we multiply by 1, which is 1 times the base amount. So that's going to be 95. And then we're taking the percentage of arc bonus after the 1. So 1 dot whatever percentage of the arc bonus it is. So since KOU has a 90% thread for all players, um, we should all be getting a 90% contribution if we play our cards right to our great buildings. So 1.90, 90%. That's going to give us our base reward plus a 90% contribution of that base reward. We always round up. That gives us 181 FP. So, what does it say here? It says that in order to lock first place, someone needs to put 312 FP on this lighthouse, and in return, by someone putting 312 FP on this lighthouse, they are going to get 181 FP returned at a 90% contribution. Now, what happens in this situation when someone snipes me here? I'm actually getting a lot more FP than a 90% contribution because someone had to give me 312 FP to lock first place. Like, I'm not sure what percentage this is. I'm not great with math, but that's a lot more than 90%. In this case, if someone was to snipe me there, I mean, I'd be exuberant. Um, and they would lose FP, right? Because we would have 312 minus 181, the reward they'd get back. They would lose 131 FP by trying to snipe me here. So, I mean, in this instance, if someone sniped me, that's good for me, right? Very good for me. Even if someone gave me 90%, that's still good for me because I'm not getting less than 90. Anytime we get less than 90, that's not good just because we can get 90 from KOU. So I'm going to show you an example of what can be sniped now. And I'm going to open up a new level on my Himeji Castle here. It looks like it's already open. Let's see. Nope. All right. So this is where we figure out if a great building can be sniped. Actually, I think I have to open up low. All right. There we go. To get to level 61, my Himeji needs 4,263 FP put on it. So in order for someone to lock first right now, they're going to have to put half of the required amount to lock first place. So 4,263 divided by 2. Someone's going to have to put 2,132 FP to lock first place. So 2,132, right? We round up. What they're going to get in return with a 90% arc bonus is the base reward, 1,120. 1,120 times 90%. So once again, 1.90 or 0.9, right? Same thing. They are going to get 2,128 back. So you know what? This building really can't be sniped for profit at 90%. And one way we can verify that is by something I'm going to talk about a little later, but we're going to type in Forge of Empires Great Building Calculator in Google. And it's going to be this link, the photactools.github one. Pretty much what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to find the great building you want to get your parameters for, right? You got to make sure you select the right great building. Otherwise, the numbers will not come out correctly because they're not all the same. We're going to verify the level we're going to. We're going to level 61. We're going to put that in here. And right here you see it's a 90% arc bonus we're calculating for. Once we have those two parameters in, we're going to come down here and it's going to give us numbers, right? First place, the base FP award for first place is 1,120, right? We know that. We just talked about that. 90% plus the base FP reward is 2,128 FP, right? That should be the number we have on our calculator here. Yep, right there. And in order for someone to lock first place at 2,128 FP or 90%, we have to put this amount on, 7 FP, right? Otherwise, let's say we don't put that 7 FP on. Someone's going to come along. Let's say we listed, right? And we don't put 7 FP on, and someone comes in and puts 2,128 FP on our Himeji Castle, and we just kind of leave it. And now let's say a sniper, I don't know, with a 95% bonus arc comes along and sees that he can put another 2,128 FP on plus an additional 4, which would lock the other person out by 1 FP. And we can do that math here, right? So let's do that math, right? 4,263 FP to level. So we take this, let's say someone put on 2,128, and now 95% arc dude comes along and goes, oh, look at that. Easy pickings, right? And I can screw this other dude over. And he puts on 4 more than this. So plus 2, 1, 3, 2. Right? So that's going to put the total amount of FP on this building up to 4,260. There's only going to be 3 FP left to level it, and the other guy just jumped ahead by 4. So he came in and snuck in and got that. So this building just hit the spot at level 60 where it can no longer be sniped right off the bat for 90%. I guess if I want to show you that, what that truly is, I'll open up my BG here because this can be sniped. I think I just did that. All right, let's use this as an example now. Bring up calculators. All right, we're going to take the total FP required to level 3039. We're going to divide it by 2, which is the amount someone would have to put on to lock first right now with no FP on it. Divided by 2. 1,520, because we round up, right? 1,520. And we're going to take the base FP reward, 825. We're going to multiply that by 1.9 or 90. Same thing. The 0 doesn't matter in this, right? And that's going to give us, we're going to round up, 1,568. 1,568. So, someone could come in, look at this, with 90% arc bonus, and go, I can lock first place for 1,520 FP, and in return, I will get 1,568 FP. So for this, it's not too great of a reward for them, and it might be a risk for someone to actually come in and lock this because they don't know if I'm going to level this. I mean, I might let this sit for 6 months, right? But you got people with, like, I don't know, 70, 80,000 FP sitting around doing nothing. So they'll just scan through everybody in their hood and their friends, right, in their guild, and they'll just start throwing on the minimum amount of FP to lock a spot. So in this instance, 1,520 FP to lock first place, and eventually they're going to get a return of 1,568 FP, and even more if it takes a while because they'll have leveled their arc up more in the meantime, and when this finally does level, they'll get an even higher bonus. But on this one, that person would snipe and they would earn 48 FP, and what that means is I would lose 48 FP by someone doing that to me. Here is, so if anybody's confused about this, like, hit me up in guild chat. I could always make another video and answer any additional questions you have if this is if I'm not explaining this correctly right now, or if I'm just talking too fast or something. So what I'm going to show you now is how to get your great building up to the spot where it can be leveled at 90% through our 90% thread, but you won't be sniped for anything less than 90. And that's what we want to do. We want to get that 90% because that's what KOU offers, and we don't want to get anything less from anybody outside the guild. If someone chooses to snipe us for more, well, more power to us, right? But I'm going to show you how to set up your great buildings for that 90% exactly reward, and how you cannot be sniped for any less. On the example of this, where someone could just hop in and snipe me right away, that's not really going to work here. So we're going to go look at my lighthouse again, and we're going to bring up my calculators again, right? And we know that in order for, so we know that if someone just jumps on and locks first here, I think it was 312 FP. Yeah, 312 FP. If they jump on and lock it for 312, they're only going to get 180 returned with a 90% arc bonus. So no one's going to come in here uh, unless they're like desperate for blueprints. No one's going to come in here and snipe first right off the bat. On the other hand, you cannot list this building like this in KOU's 90% thread because it's not ready for 90%, right? If you did the math and said, hey, 95 times 90% equals, okay, 181. I got to list it for 181 FP, right? And you listed in the 90% thread for 181 FP. Someone opens this up and goes, well, it's not ready because like if they put 181 FP on here, there's still what? 623 minus 181. There's still 442 FP that could be put on this great building. So I mean, like technically, you could list it for 181, which is 90% of the reward, and someone could take it right at 181. But then another player has 442 FP to come in and jump in front of that person. If they had a buddy, they could even each do 182, right? 182 times 2, 364. They could both jump in front of you if they wanted to, and they could knock you down to third place. I mean, they'd have to put on a little more to lock you out, but like technically you could have two people jump in front of you at that point. So in order to get our great building to that point where no one can give us less than 90%, there's one of two ways you can do that. One of those is by using the calculator we just talked about. So you look at the name of your great building, Lighthouse of Alexandria, for instance. On this one, we're going to level 15, right? We're not talking about the level we're on. We're talking about the one we're going to. So we go to our calculator. We select our building, Lighthouse. And this calculator works on mobile, at least for me on iOS and on my PC. I'm not always on PC. I'm mostly on mobile. I'll hop in and fight in guild versus guild sometimes, but mostly I'm on mobile. This calculator works on both. We're going to level 15. We have a 90% arc bonus in there, and it's all set up. Now we just have to come down and interpret the numbers and do what they say. So as you'll see, looking across horizontally, we have first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the spots that have rewards for this great building. So if we look across, we see first place, the base FP reward is 95. The base FP reward multiplied by this 90 gives us 181. So that's the reward the person who locks first place will get once that building levels. In order to have first place be available to be locked at 90%, we have to first look at this number. And this number is FP. You, as the owner of that great building, need to put on in order to allow someone to lock first at 90%. If you put 261 FP on your LOA, or my LOA, or however you want to say it, right? Let's see. We'll take the total amount here. We're going to subtract what you put on, 261. And now we want a 90% contribution of 181. So if someone puts on, it's weird. All right. If someone puts on 181, which is the 90% reward for first place, right? We're going to subtract 181. At that point, what that means is you put 261 on, someone put 181 on for first place, and there's only 181 FP left that can be put on. So no one can pass first place, and at that point, first place is locked in at 181 FP. Second place would be half of 181, right? So 91. So if we go back to the calculator, second place should show 91. Okay, it's 95. I'm sorry. 91 would be like a snipe. 95 would be the 90% contribution. As you'll see, by putting 261 on, you allowed first place to be locked exactly at 90, no less. But when that happened, someone could come in and technically snipe for, what was it, 4 FP? That's not big of a deal, right? So you put 261 on, you're then ready to list at 90% for first, you're ready to list at 90% for second, and now you look at the third place and look, this number's changed, 261 to 289. That is 28 FP more. That doesn't mean you have to put 289 more on, right? It just means you have to bring your amount on that great building to 289 from 261, so 28 more. And then you can list third for 29 FP, which is 90%. Same thing, you move to fourth, look at that, you have to put on 9 more in order to have fourth locked at 10 FP, which is 90%. Fifth doesn't have an FP reward, so you're pretty much just putting the rest of the points on to level that great building in the end. Down here, you'll see that you, as the owner, at 90% of people, or at people contributing 90% reward to you, you will only spend 308 FP to level a 623 FP great building, right? As great buildings get higher in age, this number is going to increase slightly sometimes, depending on what level you're at. But what that means, this number is going to increase even more. What's going to end up happening is you're going to see that by taking advantage of the 90%, you're going to be cutting the cost of FP to level a great building down drastically. I'm just going to bump this up to level 60 real fast and show you. So at level 60, we are paying less, right? Less to level this building than at level 15. And we are getting a whole lot more FP from our guildmates due to the 90% contribution, right? Look, level cost 1,891 FP minus our 220. So roughly that's like 1750 or 17 whatever, 1760 FP we're not paying. Versus, we'll go back down to 15. We're paying 300 versus the 200. So pretty much what that's saying is the older your great buildings get, the more advantageous it is to get these 90% contributions. The more FP you save, the faster you're going to level your great buildings. The faster you level your great buildings, the faster you're going to reap the rewards, whether that be FP or attack bonuses or whatever else we get now. Himeji Castle, Blue Galaxy, right? The more FP we can get earlier on in the game is going to contribute down the road to like a snowball effect, right? Your FP is just going to start building and building and building and building and building, and you're going to be collecting 600 FP a day on your city in, I don't know, not in no time, but eventually. And that's pretty much it. Using that calculator, making sure you have the right great building selected, making sure you have the level you're going to, input correctly, making sure you have 90% as the contribution amount up here. This I don't really pay much attention to because when you're using this, I mean, it's easiest just for you to put the FP on yourself. Once you start taking swap threads and then going to use this calculator, you're getting a little more difficult in your math. And it's not that much more difficult. It's just like, let's say you did it. Let's take this level for example, and let's say you did a 100 FP swap, right? And now you have a 100 FP from player A on your lighthouse. And now you want to go in and list your lighthouse in a 90% thread. Well, what needs to be done? A couple things, right? So you potentially still have to put 261 FP on, and then you have someone who donated 100. So what I would do there was take 261 plus 100, and so now there's 361 on. So if we did 623, which was the total amount to level, subtracted 361, that would leave us with 262 FP left to do whatever. And you're going to run into an issue here that I could already see, right? Because you're at this point, you can list. Yeah, at this point, you can list for the first place at 90%, but when someone goes to put that on, watch what happens. Minus 181. And now you'll see that for second place, you would have been able to get a 95% contribution, but there is only 81 FP left on that great building. So pretty much what you did is you, by doing that 100 FP swap and then making first lockable at 90% for someone, you locked your 100 FP swap into second place. And the point of the 90% thread is to have other people put FP on your great building and you not spend any. But by doing the 100 FP swap, you spent 100 FP. And now you're actually losing forge points because you gave 100 away, right? But you would have had 95 for free. I think I might have said that wrong, but what I'm getting at is you paid 100 FP and that locked second place. So you paid 100 FP, someone put 100 FP on your great building, and they got 95 forge points back. There we go. They got 95 back. So technically, all you got from them was 5, right? And then, but you lost 95 because you would have had 95 for free anyway. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you have questions, hit me up. Hit anybody else up. I can make another video if you have specific questions, if you want to see me use a calculator and address a specific issue or talk about a great building. I guess one other thing we can talk about real fast is how to list your building in the threads, right? So there's 2 threads. There's one for players with 80 arcs, and there's one for players with less than 80 arcs. I have an above 80 arc. So we're going to take my blue galaxy here, and I'm going to use the calculator. So we're going to level 49, right? So we're going to go to the calculator. We're going to select blue galaxy. And we're going to level 49. And we're at a 90% contribution. So we'll come down. First place. We see that I don't have to put any FP on right now to get a 90% contribution on first or second. But that's good and bad, right? Because right now, my blue galaxy can be sniped by a sniper for profit, which will cause me to lose. So I want to get this listed as fast as possible. I'm going to go in and I'm going to list first and second for these amounts. So I'll go in. I will go to messages. You'll find your 90% thread. This is the one for players above 80 arcs, 80 or above. I'm going to copy and paste the last post. I'm going to return to create a new line. I can't type today. All right. So it's good to follow the format. I'm not sure what's going on with this one, but I'll go back and correct that in a minute. I'm going to add my info, origin, uh, 1. First, put your grape origin, grape building, position, and then in parentheses, we're putting the amount needed to lock. So 1,568, right? 1,568, and parenthesis, second place, parenthesis, 789, 789, and that's it. And pretty much I'm just going to make sure nothing changed here, like someone didn't hop in while I'm typing this, right? And I'm going to then send it. If someone hopped in and typed something else, I'd have to correct it so it stayed correct, right? And now hopefully one of our awesome guildmates comes in and they take first and second before I get sniped, right? That way I get my 90% contribution, and once they do that, once first and second are filled, if they are filled at 90%, I got to come back in. I look at my calculator and I see, okay, now I have to put 150 FP on my Blue Galaxy in order to be able to list it for 266. Same thing. Once I put 150 on and list it for 266 and I get that, I can then add 132 on and then list it for 67 FP for fourth place. And that's pretty much the gist of it. You're going to run into difficulties if you list this and then someone comes along and snipes you. And let's say, I don't know, let's say here someone sniped me for 1,500, or they put 1,500 on, right? And I'm technically now 68 short for second place. So I would have to add 68 on in order for second place to be able to be locked at 90%. But in doing so, I'm allowing potentially another sniper to come along and then snipe second for even more FP. So, I mean, it's a timing game. I definitely get sniped here and there, especially as I get older in age. If you're a younger player, the best ways to prevent sniping are to keep the older era players out of your friends list, right? If you have, for instance, what is it, Wiz or Vern, or who else is here? Um, this Executionist or Sir Bruce. If you have them as friends, you're allowing them to have constant access to your great buildings and snipe you, right? If you're a low age player, you're never going to have these guys in your hood. You're going to have low age players in your hood, and you're less likely to get sniped. When you come in and you become friends with them, yeah, you're giving them access to your great buildings. You're allowing them to snipe you at will, right? So if you go through your friends list and delete the higher age players, and I'm talking probably people above the score of, I'd say around the 100 million mark is when you're going to start having those problem players where they're coming in. Actually, I take that back. Around, it's hard to say now, but you're more likely to get sniped by these people above 100 million because their arcs are continuously increasing above 80, and they have just like thousands of FP to throw around. Players less than 100 million, I mean, they have FP, they can snipe you, and like even down to like 10 million, someone can save up enough FP to snipe you, but it's less likely when you have lower era players with access to your buildings. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, hit me up with any questions.